Everyone, I get asked a lot about the different sight and sound products from A Gentle Feast, so I just wanted to record this video to go over the different levels and hopefully explain things and answer your questions. So level 0 is 100 gentle lessons in letters in sounds. So all of the sight and sound products from A Gentle Feast use nursery rhymes. Charlotte Mason said that children need a captain idea in whatever subject they're learning. They need something that grabs their attention and is interesting. And so the way that she modeled reading lessons was using nursery rhymes. Children love the language of them. They are interesting. They're funny. They capture a child's attention. So rather than just teaching a bunch of random letters with nothing for the child to hold on to, 100 Gentle Lessons in Letters and Sound uses nursery rhymes to teach the letters. Now, I recommend this book generally for kindergarten. Before that, children are learning their letters, they're learning their sounds, but they're doing it through games. That's how Charlotte Mason explains it in Home Education. She says, let the child alone and he will learn the alphabet for himself. But few mothers can resist the pleasure of teaching it. And there is no reason why they should, for this kind of learning is no more than play to the child. And if the alphabet be taught to the little student, his appreciation of both form and sound will be cultivated. When should he begin? Whenever his box of letters begins to interest him. The baby of 2 will often be able to name half a dozen letters, and there's nothing against it, so long as the finding and naming of letters is a game to him. So you're playing these kind of foundational, matching games, have the little letters in the tubs, playing, with different sounds with your preschoolers. But this is definitely more towards like a late 4-year-old, beginning 5-year-old, kindergarten level. And there are, for each lesson, your child is going to look at the nursery rhyme, and there's beautiful colored vintage illustrations for each of the rhymes. And then your child is going to learn a rhyme that goes with that letter's flashcard. So for example, A is angry ants, angry ants. Ah, ah. The reason for these flashcards is it helps the child use their whole body, which helps with their memory. And then they're learning the actual sound of the letters. Sometimes children can get confused with the letters names. A doesn't say a in a word. So teaching them the sounds in conjunction with being able to see the letter, but focusing more on the sounds than on the actual letter themselves. Then the child is going to practice writing the letter. First, they're going to use these letter pieces that you can cut out to make the letters. And then they're going to practice either in the air, on a chalkboard, in a sand tray, different ways that they can use different senses, not paper and pencil. Don't start them on paper and pencil. They need to be able to build the fine motor skills to hold paper and pencil. One of the things that makes me cringe is when I see letter tracing pages for young children. They're not developmentally ready for that, the fine motor, and then they can learn how to make the letters wrong. Like when I taught kindergarten, I used to see kids making the A backwards, and they're just tracing it and going around, and they're not even making the letters properly. So this kind of walks them through in a developmentally appropriate way how to do that. Then for each letter, there is also a read aloud suggestion, books you can get from the library, if that's something that you want and have time for. And then there is also a recipe card, which I have here somewhere. Oh, for each letter. And these are really simple recipes that you can just enjoy spending time with your younger children, teaching them beginning math skills with measuring and those kind of things, beginning cooking skills, but also just a really sweet time. And I've seen people, do this with their younger kids and bring them in. They'll bring maybe some of the older kids and they're helping with it too. It can make a really fun family activity, but those are optional. So don't feel oh, I got to do so much. The read aloud and the recipe are something that can enhance this, but it's not essential. So making applesauce is not going to help your child learn the ah sound. And that's really key because a lot of programs that I see for young children, they might be kind of like a unit study approach. So they're going to learn the letter A and they're going to make paintings with apples. And then they're going to take the letter A and they're going to glue little red pieces onto it. And they're going to make a craft about something. And that is not helping a child learn how to read. So in modern times, we call the ability that children need developmentally in order to be able to read: phonemic awareness, understanding phonemes, understanding sounds. And so we focus so much on these visual things, and they're really cute, and they make cute little Instagram posts when we can make all these like crafts and things with different letters, but that doesn't actually teach child what the sounds are or how to manipulate and change the sounds. So I love that Charlotte Mason's approach to reading is so developmentally appropriate. And now that we have the research of modern reading to kind of back this up, so children develop their ability to read orally and auditorily before they're visual. The visual discrepancy needed to be able to distinguish letters and read visually comes around age 6, which is why Charlotte Mason waited till age 6 for these kind of formal lessons. So what do I mean by a child can read auditorily and orally? So that means they're able to make the sounds. That's the oral part. So if I say, what sound do you hear at the beginning of your name, and their name is Mary, they can say, they can make that sound. And then auditorily, they can hear sounds. So what sound do you hear at the end of pat? Can they tell you t? Can a child distinguish between words that rhyme and words that don't? That's auditory skill is so important to be able to visually read. So do house and mouse rhyme? What about mouse and mitten? Do they rhyme? And being able to hear the sounds at the end of the word, that's going to help them with the visual reading once their eyes develop the ability to discriminate the different letters. So sight and sound level 0 is really geared towards building that phonemic awareness in children. They're not just learning a letter and making a bunch of, crafts or cutesy things with the letter. They're learning how they play games, like where they're, okay, I'll give you an example of one. I'm going to say a word and I want you to do the action that I say. Are you ready? S, it, s, it. Can your child auditorily put that together and know that you're saying sit? Or r, n, r, n. Okay, so that skill is what we call blending. They're blending the sounds together. Then the other skill is segmenting, taking the letters apart. Like I said, like what sound do you hear in the middle of mop? And can they tell you ah? Okay, doing all of those games and activities auditorily and orally before you start the visual component of reading. So, and at the same time, again, they're learning the sounds, the flashcards, they're learning how to make the letters with the pieces and practicing them either in the air or with a sand tray. They're using their multi senses to develop those skills for the different letters. So that's 100 dental lessons in letters and sounds. And again, this is not meant like each day is a lesson. Sometimes, you might want to spend more than one day on a lesson. If your child needs help, you might want to just have some built-in review. You might want to add in some of these extension activities. So it really can take an entire year if you want. Okay, then the next level is 100 dental lessons in sight and sound. So your child does not have to do level 0 in order to start with this one. But I do really suggest that they do have strong phonemic awareness skills. And I'll link to the product description for this, where I kind of have a video where I break down what I'm like really talking about if you don't know, but like it gives you some kind of games and activities to try to see if your child has the phonemic awareness, where they are able to orally and auditorily manipulate sounds, put them together before they're able, again, to do that visual reading. Sometimes we push kids so early and they're just not ready. So that visual acuity comes later on. It's developmentally appropriate to wait until doing formal visual reading lessons, especially till age 6. So again, it's a spectrum. Every child can be different, but like the majority of kids I've seen, and I used to be, a former kindergarten teacher and reading specialist, they're just not ready. And so it can be very frustrating for both the teacher and the child. And then when they're ready, it clicks. So 100 dental lessons in sight and sound uses Charlotte Mason's approach, where she combined teaching kids sight words and then also phonics. So, in the reading space, there's the great debate between sight words, phonics. It's gone back and forth for years. When I was in college, they taught something totally different than they do now. But the kids need both, because if you only focus on phonics, they're only going to be able to read consonant, vowel, consonant words like Bob, cat, mop, run pretty much a whole entire year of school. And that can get really boring. Bob sat on mat. The cat is on the mat. Like there's not really beautiful language in that and things that are going to excite children. So Charlotte Mason said we can teach them words by sight that they might not be able to learn to sound out until later on. So for example, one of the first nursery rhymes is Little Jack Horner eating his Christmas pie. So the word Christmas, in order to sound that out, you have to learn a lot of different phonetics to be able to sound that out. But the word Christmas is exciting. It's interesting for children. It looks very different than the rest of the words in this poem. I can visually discriminate. Oh, that's the word Christmas. I can learn that by sight. Then I can also, with the same nursery rhyme, learn the sounds, learn my phonics, learn how to manipulate sounds visually, like they have been doing practicing in the level 0, doing that auditorily. Now they're going to do it visually. So in your purchase, you get letter tiles. They look like this that you can cut out. And then you have a word building card that looks like this, depending on how many letters are in the word. So we're going to start with words like this. Okay. Green means go, red means stop. I have kids take a little car or Lego or something and make it move faster and faster to learn to blend the sounds together. So let's say the word was Sam. Okay. So you're helping your child make that with the letter tiles and then sound it out. They're going to go faster and faster to blend Sam. And then they're going to learn to can you take the first letter off of Sam and make the word jam? So they're learning to manipulate the sounds. It's going to build their phonemic awareness even more and help them even more being able to sound out words later on. So this is an example of the flashcards that would go with one of the lessons. So you get a set of flashcards for each lesson and letter tiles to do the phonemic, the phonics type activities. They also sequence the poem. So this, the first level really is kind of focusing on nursery rhymes again, but then taking the words from those rhymes and putting them together in a story. So for example, Little Jack Horner is in the corner. Little Jack Horner can't see me. So it's not like they're just memorizing the nursery rhyme. Can they take those words and actually read them when they're in a different context? So that is level 1. Level 2 starts where level 1 left off. So I really do recommend that people start with level 1, even if your child goes through it very quickly. And again, even though it's 100 lessons, it can last a whole school year because you're building in review, you're working at your child's pace. But if you're starting with level 1 and your child is really ready, they might be able to go through it faster and you might be ready for level 2 that same year. So level 2 starts where level 1 left off. It's going to teach longer vowel combinations. It's going to teach multisyllabic words, different consonant combinations, harder sight words, and more in-depth phonics skills, like understanding when you double a letter before you put on the prefix, those kind of things. So I do recommend that they kind of have that foundation of level 1 before they jump into level 2. Level 2 is not just nursery rhymes. It has some pretty long stories in it. So by this point, your child is reading fairly well because they're able to read these kind of stories. So for example, this one is Why the Sea is Salty, and it lasts several pages. So this is towards the end of the book here. I mean, this is all of these are that story. So they're reading several pages. And so they have built the stamina to be able to do that, built the understanding of these words to be able to do that. But they're still working on their sounds. So for this one is the EIGH sound. So again, some of those harder kind of vowel combinations that we have in the English language. But again, it's using nursery rhymes and stories that capture the child's attention. And then they also in level 2 are doing some copy work along with the reading as well. So to develop and practice their handwriting and spelling along with the reading. So those are the 3 levels of sight and sound. If you have questions, I'm here. I'm happy to answer them. If you go onto the product pages on agentalfeast.com, we do have the first 10 lessons free for each of the different levels. So you could try them and see what would be a good fit for your child. I hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching.